Right, stop. Open your ears and listen. Too many lessons, homeschool is a mission. The schoolwork got a hold of me tightly. Emails and messages daily and nightly.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now there is a storm brewing over at Sullivan Household of Terrors, right? And it's not a good storm as far as I'm concerned.
So yeah, I've probably had the whole homeschooling chat with you guys before. I mean, before the pandemic, it wouldn't have been something that I ever would have thought of. I wouldn't have ever, I don't know, I just wouldn't have thought, a lot of us wouldn't have done, really, would we, of homeschooling.
That's right, it's become kind of trendy to homeschool now. A lot of people are doing it, and they're not doing it for the right reasons. A lot of them, particularly the ones that are on YouTube every day, they want to take the kids out of school. It's kind of a control thing, it's a protection thing, and things like that. It's just very worrying that YouTube parents are being allowed to whip their kids away from education and the authorities, and that should cause some sort of concern.
I didn't know if it was something that we were even allowed to do. But since the pandemic, I've constantly been torn between homeschooling, not homeschooling, and all that sort of thing. Obviously, we have some children that really love school. The twins love school. They thrive at school. We have others like Toby, who really doesn't like school, has never particularly liked school. I think he's had in the one year that he's been happy there in the whole time was, I think last year he had quite a good year. I don't know. I mean, it's not necessarily, he's got nice teachers, you know, it's not necessarily anything to do with the school or the teachers or anything like that. It is just school.
So I think the first thing you need to do here is to figure out why he doesn't like school, why he doesn't like, or what he doesn't like about school in particular. I think you need to get to the bottom of that before just saying, right, let's homeschool, that's the best option.
He just doesn't like it. I think he just prefers learning on his own. He knows so much about things, and you know, when there is a topic that he's interested in, he'll learn every single thing about it. It's just a really difficult, I said to him again this morning because he was upset and he said, I don't want to go back to school, and it really has an effect on his moods, really badly. Like, he'll contemplate it he's probably been thinking about it for days now, about going back.
So here's a little bit of free advice for you, Zoe. There is a reason for that, right? No child contemplates for days about having to go back to school and worries about it, right? They don't. There is a reason. It's not, oh, he doesn't, you know, he likes school, but he doesn't like school. It's not the teachers, it's not the class, it's not this, it's not that. There is an actual reason, right? And I'll tell you why. It's because I used to do the exact same thing before I went back to school. I would think, you know, for the days prior to going back to school that, you know, I would worry myself sick about it and I didn't want to go back and everything like that, right? There is a reason. There was a reason for me. There is a reason for your child to get that worked up about it. It's not a nothing, trust me.
And I said to him this morning, then we'll have to have a serious discussion about homeschooling, because I can't see it getting any better for him.
So I want to draw your attention to this comment that was on that particular vlog, and it, I think, sums it up perfectly, and it gives a lot of cause for concern, right? This person said, to be perfectly candid, maybe school isn't the problem with any of these kids. Maybe the main problem is their parents plastering their life all over social media, including in-depth discussions about each child's real or imaginary problems. Might not bother the small children just yet, but give it time. But how hard must it be for a boy Toby's age, whose classmates no doubt tease him about it all? And I think that is an actual, that's perfectly put. he absolutely, definitely will get teased about it. As this person goes on to say, the whole world sees Ben unclogging the downstairs loo, Zoe parading up and down in her sheen swimsuits, bras hanging on door handles, wet washing airing all over the place, and people having to turn sideways to move from room to room. We all know that the family can't eat dinner together because they don't have a dining table or chairs, but Zoe's going to buy herself a bigger desk. Make it make sense. The poor boy can't even get his hair cut without it being vlogged. So, as you can see, all these things, and I 100% guarantee that his peers are teasing him about the things that are being seen on the vlogs. Because there's no... I mean, people like us, right? We laugh when we see Ben unclogging the toilet, right? Because it's funny. We laugh about it, but in the same way that we laugh about it, his peers will laugh about it and tease him about it, maybe even bully him about it, right? Absolutely guaranteed. And I know what people say, well, you know, it shouldn't happen. Well, yeah, it shouldn't happen, but it does happen, and it will happen, and it most likely is happening. That is the problem. And yet these will say, well, you know, that's other people's problems, and I guarantee that's what they're saying to their kids. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it affect you. You know, it's... If somebody's teasing you, that means that they have problems of their own and things like that, right? That is absolutely what Ben and Zoe probably tell their kids. You know, you can't let it affect you. Well, it's going to affect them. That's the problem. It absolutely will affect them. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them not to let it affect them. It will. It doesn't matter what you say. And yet, Toby will not be telling you any of this, right? Because you're the parents, and he doesn't want to upset you. He doesn't want you turning around and saying things like, oh, well, don't let it upset you, because it's gonna. And that's the crowning thing, really. That's what's happening and why he doesn't want to go back to school. So I think you need to have that conversation. Or, you know, here's something. Do not, Ben, be putting things like this on the internet, right? No wonder he's getting teased at school.
Alright, stop. Open your ears and listen. Too many lessons, homeschool is a mission. The schoolwork got a hold of me tightly. Emails and messages daily and nightly.
As I said, no wonder the poor boy is like suffering at school, right? And as this person also points out, has anybody considered how it really affects the children? And this goes for all family vloggers, in fact, because people and their fans will always defend the family vloggers, saying, well, you know, it's okay to show your real life. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But the problem is we're dealing with children and their emotions and their insides, right? They don't think the same as us, and no matter how many times you say to them, don't let it affect you, other kids bullying them day in, day out about your bloody parents doing such and such a thing online is going to affect them. It has affected every other family vlogger going. That's why they all take their kids out of school. It's not because of any other reason except for, mainly anyway, to protect them from the bullying that they get at school because of the bullying that their parents dish them up for.
Rabbiting on, I know, I'm just downloading my thoughts probably to you guys, but anyway, Agnes has been really upset about school as well. Now Agnes, if you've been around long enough, you'll know that I didn't send Agnes to nursery, or she went for a couple of months and then I took her out.
Now, it's an interesting point about Agnes not going to nursery and not now enjoying school, because we also have a very serious situation brewing with one of their youngest, and that is Joseph, who they always allude to having issues, and wherever they go, there's an issue that he has to cope with, and things like that. Clearly, he has a coping issue.
Joseph was a little bit during the first half. He didn't really want to watch, and I think the loudness of it was kind of took him aback. But the second half, he started to get into it, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he sort of stood and he watched. He was really, really good. These sorts of things, all these new things that we try with Joseph, are sort of way out of his comfort zone, way out of our comfort zone with him to know how he's going to react.
Yeah.
So you're always taking a little bit of a chance. But then if we never do these things, then everybody else, he doesn't get to join in with the rest of the family.
That's right.
So, as you can see, Joseph has issues, and well, we think he has issues. Now, I wanted to delve further into this because I've heard them say it so many times without actually saying, yeah, this is what's wrong, and things like that. And the fact that he's been kept out of school is an issue, right? So last year sometime they went to get him assessed.
You'll know that we've been on the list for Joseph to be assessed for quite a while. So this is his first. We hadn't seen, but we've spoken to occupational therapy a few months back, given us lots of ideas, checked out, the things that we were doing that we've put in place are the right things to be doing, really. So we've kind of been through all of that. But obviously there is a process which is quite long. So he's been seen by the health visitor, go back to last year. And we've been waiting for a paediatrician's appointment. So today is the day for that. Now,
So as you can see, they tried and they took him to his appointment. But what actually happened?
All we want is to be able to give him the right support that he might need. Obviously, he's due to start school this year. We've deferred him for a year. I haven't put him in nursery yet because I don't know how he'll cope with that. So
as you can see, as I mentioned, he's been deferred from school. In fact, they haven't put him in school this year. He's supposed to start the school this year, but they've deferred him for a year, I guess. And they also haven't put him in nursery either, which is a bit of an issue because it's keeping him back. Now, I would wonder why they don't want to put him into school. I know there's an issue there that maybe he won't be able to cope. That's what they're afraid of. But I think unless you actually give it a go, you're not going to know. And the best sometimes is just to give it a go and try.
He got an okay with all those sorts of tests. We obviously went into his whole background, the worries that we have, why he was referred in the first place. And all those sorts of things. He's a little bit behind with his gross motor skills like jumping, and his balance is not very great. So he can't, she wanted him to do heel toe walking, and he's not got great balance. So he can't kind of stand on one leg. He finds coming down the stairs a little bit more difficult, but then he is only 4 as well. So I know he should be doing those things by now, but those are the things that he's not so good at doing.
So as I've said many times, they have alluded to or talked directly about this situation with Joseph and his needs and his additional needs and what they can do for him and what they need to do for him to help him cope. Every single time they go out, they mention about how he can't do this or he can't do that, or he struggles with this and that and things like that. But they haven't really even got a diagnosis to fall back on yet.
Here comes the bit of a tricky part. Because he is not at school and because he's not in nursery, for him to get a formal diagnosis, they need another party's opinion.
So it seems like that they can't get a formal diagnosis unless they have a third-party opinion, such as the school that he's at, right? Which kind of makes sense, I guess. However, she doesn't want to send him to school or nursery. Now, where do we lie with that? It's a difficult situation, and one that's not going to get better unless she tries to get him the help that he needs, if he needs help. If he doesn't need help, then everything she's doing is holding him back. Now, I found this comment quite interesting, which was left on this video, which was 7 months ago, bear in mind. So Zoe has had 7 months to, process this information. My son attends the nursery at the same school as your children. I see you most mornings on the school run. My son is currently being assessed for autism. I can't recommend that nursery enough. They have pulled out every stop and given him every bit of support he has needed. We currently have a care plan in place for my son. I would definitely recommend perhaps getting him into nursery, maybe only for a few days a week, to help with your assessment process. Wish you all the best. So this person is in the exact same position at the exact same school that Joseph should be being put into, and saying that her son has been given so much support over the process, and this would be a good thing for Zoe's child to go through, right? And also a very good tip is to put him in for 2 or 3 days a week just to help with the assessment process. That could also be an option. Now, has Zoe done anything about it? Well, 7 months on tells us that no, she hasn't. She hasn't lifted a finger to actually do that. Obviously, she knows her child better than everyone else. I won't give her credit for that. But I would say that that piece of information there is quite helpful, and it goes to show that people in her situation can be helped if she sends her child to school or nursery. It will help immensely, and it might even help the child, to be fair, right? It might help him to not be relying on his parents and not be in a safe space all the time. Now, I think one thing we have to bear in mind is that Zoe may not even agree with sending her kids to school or nursery. She will miss out, as attested by herself, actually.
She spent her nursery years at home with me, and we had a blast. We had such a good time. We were living in Lossie at the time. We would go to the beach every day. Her and Joseph were like the best of friends. We would go for walks every day. We'd go to the beach. We'd do lots of things at home, and it didn't hold her back not going to nursery at all. I mean,
So she's talking about Agnes here, the fact that she wasn't sent to nursery, and Zoe loved having her child at home with her. They went to the beach, they went for walks all the time. Agnes was best of friends with Joseph. So this whole dynamic is created by Zoe herself and not wanting to let go of her children, and it could end up being the worst thing that she could do for them.
She's above average in reading, writing, all the academic stuff, which I know it's not the only, it's not the most important thing, but it didn't hold her back in any way. But now, she enjoyed the first year at school, but now she's struggling a little bit with it all. Not with the work, she's just, I think, it's just the being at school. I don't really know. Sometimes it's other people. She says that sometimes people are mean, but then kids also make things up. I just don't know.
Now, Zoe, when talking about her various children and their diagnoses or non-diagnoses, I believe she's also doing the same with Agnes as well, with the whole being milk intolerant thing. Now, as we know from the various shopping hauls that they do, they mention every single time, there's the milk substitute, or the substitute for the milk based food, right? Milkless, without milk. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they always get something for Agnes that's not milk, right? That has no milk in it. However, quite a few times, apparently there's been things that they have got that have contained milk that has been for Agnes. And there's also been this one that happened the other day.
A couple of sauce, a couple of ketchups to top up because we're nearly out of that. Breadsticks, I'm guessing they're for like snacking bits, eh?
I think not.
Are they snacking bits?
Are they not milk free?
I think they're milk free, yeah.
So Agnes really likes
Ah,
them.
right, okay.
I can't remember if they're... I don't think they're vegan, but they are milk free.
And they're vegetarian.
So she likes them.
Okay.
There's an issue that I have with that, right? Because it seemed to me that there was a discrepancy whether or not Agnes actually liked those or could even have them because they thought they were milk free, and then Ben said, oh, I don't know if they are. But surely if you were feeding your children on a daily basis, you would know whether or not something was milk free, especially if someone has an intolerance to it. Because what if say Zoe wasn't there at the time and Ben was feeding his kids and decided, oh yeah, I think that is that's okay to have, and then it's not. So I'm just wondering how they know whether or not she is milk intolerant if they haven't had a diagnosis. I haven't seen anything on the vlogs to suggest that they have had a formal diagnosis on this. So if anybody has actually seen anything to say that I'm wrong, basically, let me know and I'll have a look at it, because I can't find anything where they physically talk about it, right? So bear in mind that everything I've talked about in this video is my opinion and my thoughts. I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I don't also presume to diagnose either of the children there, because it's not my place to do so. As I mentioned, Zoe and Ben are their actual parents and know them best, so they know what's going on better than any of us do. But that being said, there's a lot of wrong things going on, a lot of worrying things going on, and I think a lot of it has to do with the bullying, as I mentioned at the beginning, surrounding the things that Ben and Zoe get up to on video, right? Because if that was me and my parents did that, I'd be bullied at school. I'd have been bullied without a doubt, right? At the very least teased about it. Even your actual friends would tease you about it because it's embarrassing. There's no getting away from it, you know? Ben, you're not the coolest kid on the block, honestly. And Zoe, you know, you can't string a sentence together. I'm sorry, but like, I'm not the best speaker. I'm not the best public speaker, so I get it. But it's very painstakingly hard to get through one of your little talks. Anyway, that's all I'm saying on the subject. Please let me know your comments below, your opinions. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know everything that you think about any of this. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and goodbye.